This season on Stories of Impact, we look through a new lens at old traditions.
We are now in the midst of an experiment asking, does Shabbat dinner as a spiritual practice increase social connectedness?
See new generations explore new solutions.
We estimate there's roughly 12,000 gang members. Kids, they understand that these cycles of violence are unsustainable in the long run.
And search for new ways to help kids make sense of modern life.
Children were leaving school with some very generalized knowledge about some religions, but perhaps not enough to help them navigate the real world. So this project is part of a piece of work to address that.
Over the last 7 seasons, Stories of Impact has brought listeners conversations about the art and science of human flourishing. We've met luminary artists like dancer Judith Jamison, pioneering researchers like Dr. Jane Goodall, and national leaders like Freddy Mutanguha. In this year's programming, we bring you a whole new series of inspiring stories, like our conversation on how ancient practices continue to have a purpose today.
This is really taking seriously the idea that a spiritual exercise like a Friday night dinner could have a positive effect on people's loneliness and feelings of connection.
I do think that we share that hypothesis that the components altogether, Friday night, food, shared intention, where we see some of the strongest social connection and belonging outcomes there.
We learn how citizens are solving systemic problems like violence.
In 1991, the homicide rate in Medellin was almost 400 per 100,000 residents, which is 4 times what we see now in the most violent cities in the world. There are 19 mafia-like organizations, and today these groups are like firms. They regulate this market. And these groups also regulate violence, because violence is bad for business.
And we find hope in hearing about research that will help kids in Colombia have a brighter future.
Kids are joining gangs because they're making decisions. But most of these decisions are based on misperceptions. When we provide information on the costs of joining a gang, kids are less interested in the gang.
We hear from educators working to increase agency and choice in kids' classrooms.
Countries around the world vary a lot, but in the West, one of the disappointing things in the last few decades is that young people have less and less agency. They have less and less choice, sometimes quite literally in terms of which subjects they do, but also within each classroom having much ability to decide how they learn about a topic.
We discover how students can be empowered to follow their individual spark of curiosity.
We need to teach that idea that we can have informed and respectful conversations. So sometimes questions are going to come up that are uncomfortable, and pupils can deal with those in quite grown-up ways if we give them the language, the opportunities and the skills to do that.
In every episode, we travel the world and dive deep into the intersection of spirituality and science on Stories of Impact, the American Writing Awards Science Podcast of the Year, generously supported by Templeton World Charity Foundation. I'm writer, performer, producer Tavia Gilbert, and along with journalist Richard Sergey, every first and third Tuesday of the month, I'll bring you a new conversation on the Stories of Impact podcast, which offers uplifting explorations about the art and science of human flourishing. You can find the award-winning Stories of Impact podcast wherever you find the podcasts you love. Be sure to follow us so you don't miss an episode.